It has been raining every day. Every day. I want to wash my car. You know, brother got to put that armor all down. I didn't have a chance to do that, but it's been rainy every single day. The sun will come out for a little while, and then rain. So just when I want to do something, I have to change plans, because as soon as I look outside, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go outside and wash the car. Rain. Well, guys. Oh,
you have a message.
Yeah. God. Every time y'all hear that, y'all say that. It is Unlucky Friday the 13th, guys. June 13th. Unlucky Friday the 13th. Get with your boy. And we're headed to Atlanta, Hollywood, Peachtree City. We got a 60 game member that gave me a call to come check him out. Eddie. Eddie's got a Samsung. What's wrong with the GPS? Y'all been having computer problems lately? Eddie got a Samsung. Stop making ice. I don't know what's been going on with the GPS, man. I mean, like, it just don't want to work when it needs to be working. So I brought me an extra ice maker, if it's the ice maker I think it is. So I hope it's broke. Then after that, we got to go from Peachtree City to Stockbridge to see Faye. And she also has a Samsung refrigerator. Samsung refrigerators is my bread and butter, babe. You feel me? My bread and butter. I'm always paying bills with Samsung product. What that tell you? So, good morning to those who woke up to be in the presence of the Lord, June 13th, 2025. Happy birthday. It's your birthday, June 13th, 2025. And my condolences to those who did not wake up today on this Friday the 13th, on your day. But anyway, I'm headed to Peachtree City first, then we're going to go to Stockbridge to get two Samsung refrigerators and go from there. Is that my boy? Nope. So, without no further ado, let's roll out my niggas. That's it on. Oh, gotta turn the car on first. Let's roll out.
Home rate. Now we're getting into the Los Angeles home rate, and we talked about it. We were like, yo, there's going to be an agent down the line in this trial.
The signal is poor in my own neighborhood.
Less than a year after receiving treatment, I've hit
To be an agent down the line in this trial that's going to talk about what was seized or what was found at Diddy's Los Angeles mansion. Is it called the Holmby, Holmby Hills mansion? It's a sprawling property. What's going to be, what else was taken? We'll see. 17,000 foot property. 17 1,000 square foot home. It's a nice home. Look at that pool, tucked in behind trees. HSI. Now, will you just talk about guns? Is that all? What else was
Our
seized
gas
from
station is starting to take shape, guys.
Do we have any baby oil
Of
seized
course.
in Los Angeles?
Of course.
That's going to be talked about. Astroglide, high heels, Frank Black prescriptions, drugs. Now we're getting into the RICO stuff. We're going back to, that stuff with Jane. It's kind of like baby mama drama, hot mess. That has been talked. Coca talked about hot mess. I like that because I keep thinking about hot mess. She's a hot mess. I'm coining Jane as a hot mess. All that stuff has kind of got us all sidetracked away from actual RICO. I think it's important for her and everything to share. But now we're getting into the meat and the potatoes of the RICO, which is guns, drugs, money, co-defendants, co-conspirators. All right, so Shapiro now says, we are concerned if we bring the juror back in for questioning, it might impact behaviors during deliberations. The judge says we don't have to get into this right now. Mr. Combs, are you waiving the issue? Yes. All right. So it looks like they're not going to address the juror right now. Combs and Shapiro is like, well, if we bring the juror back in, because the prosecutor's the one that's making this allegation. Defense, of course, wants to keep the juror. We know that. The defense wants this juror number 6. Defense does not want to get. But they're feeling like if you do bring the juror in and question the juror about whether the juror is biased or not, the juror might go back if the juror stays, and it could affect the juror's behavior during deliberation. Meaning the juror might feel like there was pressure on the juror to find him guilty. Is that what the defense is saying? Or manipulate the juror's mind and the juror's all out of sync and the juror's feeling like the juror did something wrong and the juror might not adequately deliberate right from that point on. That's the concern Shapiro has and raised about the juror, bringing the juror back in. You bring a juror back in, you put a juror on the hot seat, the juror's sitting there, the juror has a judge grilling him, because it's a male, the juror number 6 is a male correctional officer, man that likes sports, African American male. I think he was in his early 40s. I think they said he was 41. Judge is like, we'll address the issue. We'll see. The judge is like, the question was, where do you live? An answer saying the Bronx was accurate. One might move, but it wouldn't raise the level of removal of a juror. AUSA's like, sure, some of the other cases are more extreme. Here are Rule 24C is operative. Goes on to say, given where we are now, it is the government's position we should get to the bottom of this issue. We have at least one question to ask the juror. Does the juror's employer have a residency requirement? That might explain the answer. Combs' attorney goes on to say, well, that would be harassing the juror to inquire about the employer. But the prosecution does have a point. Does the person live in the Bronx or not? I think they're trying to say that the prosecution's trying to say, well, Residency, I want to question the juror on the residency. The juror says juror lives in the Bronx. Chappelle's like, doing this will just harass the juror. To inquire about the employee or employer. AOSA, I don't understand why the defense is so adverse to asking this question. I wasn't present when this juror was questioned in the robing room. Ooh. What's going on here? All right, so the judge is like, if we or I question him, let's do it at the end of the day. Let's bring the jury in, then the witness. Okay, so judge is like, okay. All right, here's the deal. Here's what's going to happen here, folks. The juror number 6, if we question the juror, or I separately question the juror, we're just going to do it at the end of the day. We're going to do it at the end of the day. So the juror is still going to be on for now. It appears the judge has made a decision to say that the juror will be looked into at the end of today. So we got one more day. The juror might have one more last day to be on this case before the juror is gone. I think the juror stays, personally, the way the judge is saying this. But the AOSA feels like they have a right to ask the juror about residency and employer about, you know, wherever I guess he works as a correctional officer. So does the correctional institution have a residency requirement saying that you have to live in a certain area? I think that's what the AUSA wants to ask this juror. Chappelle is like, that will harass the jury or the juror and also possibly affect deliberations down the line if you bring this juror out there. We shall see. We shall see. AUSA, Miss Foster is telling the witness about the new questions. Okay, break. All right, so we're on a break. We are on a break, ladies and gentlemen. We're on a break. 2 major issues today. I guess Foster is part of the AUSA team, is letting the agent know about certain questions in reference to that raid, that Los Angeles raid. It's all about the raid, the guns, and the juror number 6, which the judge expressed now that this will be at the end of the day. So we'll hear testimony today. I don't know how long we go today. Maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. Let's do it. Let's do it. So we got that. So we got the agent about to come on. Got the juror being addressed. At the end of the day, I think the juror will stay, but we'll see. And we're about to get this party started, but we are on a break. So a few more things being ironed out, nothing significant, and we keep this thing moving. You never know what's going to happen at these beginning stages. Yesterday, all about the robing room in the morning. We were at like a 2-hour delay. We were like a 2-hour delay, folks. All about the raid.
Take a listen.
Okay, hold up. One more hypothetical, bro, because you don't understand like what you're protesting. Okay, now imagine this. Now imagine a bunch of black people, like we're all out here protesting. And they're like, what are you protesting? Oh, we want the DEA out of here, bro. Like the Drug Enforcement Agency is slowing down traffic for our traps, my nigga. We need them out of our community so we can continue to break the wall safe and sound. That's what you're doing. That's what you want. You want ICE to leave so you can stay here illegal. That sounds nuts. You guys are protesting for crime, on behalf of crime.
He said it, I did it, but that's exactly it. This isn't about unity. This is emotional blackmail. They're guilt tripping the black community over something they are clearly in the wrong for. And it's not okay. You broke the law and now you're mad because people don't want to help you dodge the consequences. I appreciate you guys for coming back to the channel. I am Carmen JC and let's get into this mess. All right, let's talk about what's being said right now coming out of the Mexican community. I've seen the videos, I've heard speeches. Some are guilt tripping, some are crying, and some are just flat out disrespectful. So let's go ahead and take a look.
There's a small group of young minority men, and I've seen some black and I've seen some Asian, and of course you're going to see the palm colored ones, right? But they're on here talking about these minorities, these illegals. They need to get, why are they waving the Mexican flag, and why are they protesting and rioting? If you don't like the American flag, why don't you just go back to Mexico? See, there's no deportation without representation, okay? And secondly, this fucking country is a melting pot of culture, races, nationalities. But there's no fucking American race, okay? This fucking country was founded by immigrants, and it stands on fucking stolen land. And furthermore, okay, when you motherfuckers are sitting here, why don't you go back? Okay, you're only saying that now because when it's convenient, they forced you to come here on a fucking boat, right? It's not to dismiss what you've been through, what your people have been through. Never. I will never dismiss the struggle of the black man. I will always be an advocate for fucking minorities. But your ignorance, your stupidity, your misinformation is misguiding you, my friend. And I'm talking mainly to these young, and it's not their fault entirely because of the society that we're growing up in. Think about it. We've had about 10 to 12 years of being exposed to Trumperism. Okay, so I understand where there's some misguided souls that want to fall into place with a certain fucking group, and hate is what runs them. Okay, but don't forget what the fuck happened back in the fucking day and what they did to you and your ancestors. And think about this. The Underground Railroad led somewhere. It led to fucking Mexico because slavery was illegal in fucking Mexico. So when that shit was happening, the Civil War, all that shit, freedom for slaves, the greener grass was in Mexico.
This was a full-blown manipulation attempt. He tried to twist history into the reason why the black community should protest for illegal immigration. His whole message was, we helped you once, so now it's your turn to help us. That is not unity, that is manipulation, and quite frankly, it is insulting. Y'all are so disrespectful to this country, you can't even acknowledge America for what it is or respect its laws. But instead you're out here mocking Americans, calling them palm-colored people, acting like the rules don't apply to you, and spitting on the very nation you're demanding protection from. And that's exactly why we want people like you gone. Not because of your race, but because you clearly have no respect for our country, our laws, our history, or the people that live here. You hate America so much, then go back, please. Y'all can trash y'all country, cry about its laws, just don't do that here. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next clip, and I promise you, it's probably gonna be some emotional blackmail in there too. Let's take a look.
How can you lack so much compassion? What if your mom, your dad, was immediately just taken from you as a white person, as a black person, as anyone? How can you just accept that? This is not, fuck, bro. This is so unreal. And how can people just lack compassion? How? Why can't you just imagine yourself just waking up one day with your family not there anymore? So LA businesses are getting raided by ICE, or some people that are wearing stuff that says ICE on it with their faces all covered up. People are getting ran over. Shots are being literally fired, literally. And this is supposed to be life right now. We're not gonna get treated like humans because they don't see us like humans. They lack compassion. How can you lack compassion? How? I understand that you're trying to get criminals out. Why are you going to workplaces where people are just trying to work? That doesn't make sense.
Girl, newsflash, the black community has been torn apart. We were separated by slavery, we were separated by welfare, we were separated by mass incarceration. So don't come to us now crying like we don't know pain. We are pain. But the truth is, this isn't about compassion. It's about accountability. You're not being deported because people lack feelings. You're being deported because you broke the law. And I just love how she's crying full breakdown mode with the Mexican flag hanging directly behind her. Like, girl, at least try to use some logic. You could have at least tried to cry in front of an American flag, the country you're begging to stay in. You're not showing national pride, you're showing entitlement. You're waving another country's flag while demanding protection from another. That is delusional. And to be honest, y'all keep coming over here without papers, claiming asylum, lying about your status, and when the law shows up, you cry for compassion like that's going to undo your decisions. You love Mexico, then go live in Mexico. You love your family and want to stay with them, go be with your family in Mexico. This is not hate, this is logic, and it is long overdue. We're sorry. Next.
Lately, I have seen a lot of videos of black people making fun of Mexicans for what's happening right now with Mexican people. I have also seen black people make videos talking about Mexicans. Don't come to us for help because we're not helping. First of all, Mexicans are not alone. They have Honduran people, they have Salvadorian people, they have Guatemalan people, they have Nicaraguan people, and a whole bunch of other countries that are willing to join forces with the Mexican people. Black people, what makes you think that Mexicans are gonna come running to y'all for help? What for? Y'all black people can't even help yourselves. That's wild. Mexican people are hardworking people. Mexican people stick together. They make it work. That's the total opposite of a black person. You want to call me racist? Go right ahead. I'm just keeping it real. Like I said, Mexican people are not alone. They have all of us. What makes you think that a Mexican will say, oh, okay, well, we have the blacks, let's go to them? Come on now. Y'all don't even trust each other. What makes you think that a Mexican will trust you if you don't even trust your brother? Get your popcorn ready and watch how Mexicans make this work.
Now this one, I'm going to be honest, I kind of agree with some of the stuff he said. A lot of people might not like his delivery, but I don't care. Because even though I know it was intended to be disrespectful, I actually appreciate him for saying it. Because more black people need to understand the position that we are in. Nobody is coming to save us. Nobody owes us anything. And nobody is going to stop and help us while we're busy trying to help everybody else. We have to help ourselves. We have to produce for our own communities, and we have to benefit the people around us, not burden them. And honestly, he's right. We've got too many internal issues to be running around fighting everybody else's battles. We need to fix home base first. And I actually respect that he just said it out loud, because a lot of people say these things behind closed doors, but this is what they really think. Because we don't need fake unity. Don't secretly hate us and then turn around and say, black people, where are you? No, be real. If you don't like us, that is fine. Stand on that, because we weren't going to help anyways. At least I wasn't. So thank you for saying what you said, because it reminded me why we're choosing to focus on us. And that's exactly what we need to be doing. So obviously, as you know, black people obviously had a response to this, which I was pretty surprised by, because it was just all black people as a whole. Well, not obviously all black people, but a good majority of black people that were just like, this is not my issue. You guys broke the law. I don't know if you know how the law works, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at some black people that are responding to this ridiculousness. That's all I can call it.
Bro, you came here illegally, so you're getting sent back. Like, I'm not really understanding where I'm supposed to feel bad. Like, it's the law. Like, what? Am I missing something? Like, we also can't do that. We can't go to other countries illegally and just pop up and start working and all of that without things in order, without abiding by their laws. And to be honest, it's a much worse punishment if we end up doing that. I feel like America is being generous. Y'all are getting caught and then being sent by a plane or sent by a bus back home. That's pretty generous if you ask me. Like, if I go to Russia and try to pull that off, I might not come home. They might lock me up for 50 years for trespassing. Like, I'm confused. The media is trying to make us feel bad, and they're like, oh, this person was 15 years old, he was a hard-working boy, he was in high school, blah, blah, and he was an illegal immigrant from Guatemala. Bro, you lost me. You lost me. He's illegal. So I'm sorry. Like, that's just what happens. I can't feel bad no more. Everything you said before that is disregarded. I'm sorry.
He said it plain and simple. You lost me. You came here illegally, so now you're getting sent back. And honestly, that's how it should be. We don't care about your sob story. You're not an American citizen. You broke the law, and you're using resources that real American citizens could be using, people that came here legally, that went through the process and should have access to. Just the fact that no other country allows this, and you have the nerve to burn things in our streets, burn the American flag, and wave the Mexican flag, is complete insanity. You came here wrong, you stayed here wrong, and now you're upset because there are consequences. We don't support it. We don't care about your outrage, and we don't care about your fight against America. We stand with our country. We stand with ICE. Okay, here's another video from another creator you guys probably have seen around. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what he has to say. Take a listen.
So if we're having an honest conversation, what's happening in the LA riots, regardless of your politics, is not a black person's issue. First of all, majority of black people were not immigrants, we were imports, so we're not the same. Second of all, if separating kids from their parents is such a bad thing, then why do so many of you have baby daddies that you won't allow in the child's life? Every time that there's a movement that doesn't have real momentum, they try to make it into a black person's issue so that it has more credibility and more substance. So like the pride stuff, they put black people on the flag. Free Palestine tries to make it all about black people, which what's happening over in the Middle East has nothing to do with race in that regard. But if we're gonna keep it so real, a lot of these people just want black people involved. Again, one, to make it seem more cool and credible, but two, because they want black people to take the fall. If black people get heavily involved in these anti-ICE riots, I guarantee you black people are gonna be the ones who end up looking the worst and getting the shortest end of the stick. We fight every person's battle, and really, we need to just work on ourselves at this point. So stop telling black people that the LA riots are our business, because it's really not. If you come here illegally, you assume the potential consequences of your actions. So stop making this about black folk.
He had me dying with saying that we are not immigrants, we are imports. That is hilarious. Oh my gosh. I don't know why that's so funny, but black people are just tired of being used and abused by everybody in this country. And when I say used and abused, I mean like we're the face of all the pain. Oh, you need somebody in feminism? Go get a black woman. You need someone to be the face of welfare? Go get black people. You need someone to be the face of LGBT? Same thing. Go get black people. I think black people, hopefully, are starting to wake up and starting to understand that the black community just needs to focus more inward on the community rather than trying to be the face of everybody else's issues. We've already carried enough. This last clip really kind of shows the tension that's been boiling over, I guess, between the black and Hispanic community. I really didn't realize it was this bad, but apparently it's pretty bad. Take a look.
Why are black people helping Latinos riot against ICE in LA? Let's talk about it. There are three types of black people who are sitting these protests out. Number one, the black Trump supporter who voted for deportations. Number two, the Kamala Harris supporter who voted overwhelmingly for Kamala and then saw that Latinos overwhelmingly voted for Trump and they're like, y'all need our help now? Oh, hell no. And number three, the older black people who are like, what are y'all up to? Oh, and there might be one other type of black person too. The kind of black person that hears something like this.
I don't think black people have a right to tell white people or Hispanics what they can and cannot say. And that means if a black person wants to use the N-word, that means a white person also can use the N-word, because all lives matter, not just Black Lives Matter. So with that said, we need to stop cancel culture. It is anti-American, it is anti-free speech, and if you can say the N-word, so can I, whether you like it or not. It doesn't affect your freedom, but you're sure affecting mine by telling me that I can't say it because I'm not black. So, make the N-word great again.
Okay, well how about we make ICE great again too?
You gonna cover, nigga? I'm fist, nigga.
You go right there. Yeah, you do, nigga. Stop paying. Yeah, you can die. That nigga right there.
Y'all can address that, then stop looking for black people to be out there for y'all.
That last clip brings in the tension that really has been boiling beneath the surface. The growing friction between the black and Hispanic community. There's been a lot of silence around it, but it's becoming obvious. Black folks feel like Hispanics come to this country, act superior, and distance themselves from us, and then suddenly want our help when they're in trouble. That is not solidarity, that is manipulation. And it's just completely disingenuous. Even liberal black people who usually show up for everybody are backing off, because they're waking up to the reality we're always the face of the struggle, always the emotional foundation for other people's movement, but rarely even get any respect in return. But hey, when it comes to the N-word, either everybody can say it or nobody can. We need to pick. But that's just one example of the deeper problem. People want our culture, our language, our swag, our backing, but never our reality, never our pain, never our leadership. So this time, we're doing something different. We're choosing ourselves. We're standing back and we're letting y'all handle y'all own mess. That's all. That's all. This ain't got nothing to do with the black community. And I would imagine that same young lady will be for deportation because illegal immigration is un-American, and she seems like she's an American patriot. So, can't disagree with her on that, but just curious if she's for that as well. On a lighter note, this video made me laugh, so I figured I'd share it with you guys too, because after all this chaos, we need a little humor. So go ahead and take a look.
Latinas for Trump. You can still be for Trump. Just do it over there in Mexico. Bigly. Blacks. The Latinos want you to come to the party. Finally, you're getting invited to the siesta. Only it's a protest party this time. They want you to get out there with your picket signs against ICE. Why are we against ICE all of a sudden? I thought we liked ICE. There's plenty of ICEs that we do like. We like iced tea, both the drink and the washed up wrapper. We love his wife Coco. She's so beautiful, don't you agree? We like Ice Spice. Okay, the thick one, not the thin one. Apparently the thin one is for the whites and the blacks. Like her thick. Bigly, they like that. Vanilla Ice. No, we don't like that. No vanilla ice, but we like the ice capades. We like dry ice and the fancy drinks where they put the little stuffers inside. We like that bigly, we enjoy it now. When I bring ice, it's a problem. Of course, everything I do is a problem. You guys find a problem with every single thing that I do. Listen, guys, why are we calling for the blacks? The blacks already told you they weren't going to protest with you, and 92% voted for Kamala. I thought that was really crazy.
She nailed the Trump impersonation. I don't know why, but anytime somebody does a Trump impersonation, it's just hilarious to me. So this next creator has some suggestions for Black Americans that were in the mood to protest, just in case you were thinking about protesting for the immigrants that are here illegally. She said if y'all really want to hit the streets, there's a long list of things in our community we need to protest first. And she did not hold back. Let's take a look.
Apparently Black America is in a mood to protest, so I have composed a short list of things that we can protest whenever y'all are ready. Sexy Red. Let me know when y'all are ready to protest Sexy Red. BBLs. We can protest BBLs. We can protest drill music. We can protest our boys wearing pooch icy masks in 90-degree weather. We can protest our babies knowing TikTok dances before they can identify their letters. We can definitely protest that. We can protest those THC vapes being sold to our children, vapes in general that are being sold to our young people. Let me know when y'all ready to protest that. We could protest 14, 15, 16-year-old girls walking around looking like 35-year-old grown women in wigs, lashes, and full face of makeup. Let me know when y'all ready for that. We can protest living in Section 8 housing and getting a BBL. What's that about? Where are our priorities? We can protest Zeus Network entirely. The whole thing, Natalie Nunn, Lemmy, all of it. We can protest our kids having a higher rap IQ than they have a literacy score. Y'all let me know when y'all ready to protest that. We can protest the phrase YN. Who invented that? Who coined that phrase? And why are y'all owning it? Like it's something to be proud of. We can protest that. We can protest the outsourcing of call centers to Pakistan because those are jobs. Call center jobs used to be our go-to, and we've lost those. So let me know when y'all ready to protest that. We can protest our boys wearing wigs and gowns to prom because who gonna be the men? That's what I want to know. We can protest every single Black drama series that's centered around crime and violence. All of them. Y'all let me know when y'all ready. We can protest whoever's still selling crack. Whoever's responsible for still selling crack. I see dope things all the time. So whoever's selling them their drugs, we can protest them. We can protest women who have multiple absent baby fathers, because at what point does your discernment kick in? When do we learn our lesson?
I definitely second all of that. But let's be clear, she missed a few. We need to protest Jasmine Crockett for being a loud embarrassment, Al Sharpton for having a career as a clout chaser. And while we're at it, we need to protest the entire Democratic Party for decades of gaslighting, pandering, and pimping out the Black vote with no return on our investment. We need to protest the Black criminals who destroy our neighborhoods and the Black culture that celebrates them like martyrs. The rappers, the scammers, the shooters. We praise this stuff like it's power, but it's poison. We need to protest the cult of Black culture in itself. The one that glorifies struggle, promotes dysfunction, and protects the degeneracy in the name of being real. We need to protest about 75% of Black women because too many of them are pushing delusion, disrespect, rebellion, and self-worship, all while screaming independence with nothing to show for it but chaos. Not to mention their children can't read, and they are raising white ends and more BMs. Let's also protest abortion because abortion is the number one pillar of the Black race. Not bullies, not white supremacy. Abortion. And for that, you can thank the same Democratic Party for funding it and pushing it through your favorite influencers and politicians. Let's protest this twisted idea of having morals meaning you're a coon and that being educated means that you're acting white. We can protest the Asians, the Arabs, and the immigrants that make money off our community but don't reinvest a dollar into it. We can protest Hollywood celebrities who get rich pushing filth to our children, whether it's promiscuity, prostitution, music, or just pride parades for children. Let's protest the programmer that turned our people into fans of their own destruction. No, we're not marching for illegal immigrants. We're not linking arms with people who don't even respect us. We need to clean our house first. And let's be honest, we've marched for everything but the truth. So now, let's march for accountability. At the end of the day, this conversation was never about race. It was always about logic. This is not about hate. This is not about division. This is about law and accountability. To the Mexican community, this is not personal. For all the people that came into this country illegally, we're just enforcing our laws. We're standing by our country, and we are standing with ICE. You don't get to come here, break our laws, disrespect our borders, burn our flag, and then cry for sympathy. That is completely un-American, and you're delusional if you think we're going to stand for it.
I want you to know what's happening in my country, LA, right now with the riots. And then I guess they plan to do them around the country in at least other cities and states. The riots, under the pretense they care about the illegal aliens, the criminals, well, they're all criminals if they're here illegal, but it's all for money and power, and somebody is brainwashing these people to do this stupid stuff they're doing, and they don't know, they can't see. And so, but the one thing I realized that they're going to try to do as they did, in the same way they did with the Great White Hope during the election, they tried to deceive you, to make you think what you were seeing were not really happening. They were trying to make you think it's not happening. But you thank God, because of other outlets, news outlets, online and Fox News and places like that, that you can see what's going on, even though they're going to tell you it's not happening. The politicians, especially the media, and the Democratic politicians, they're going to tell you that it's not happening, but you're going to see for yourself that it is happening. And so when election time come again, midterm, you can vote these people out. Because they can't deceive you like they've been able to do in the past with the help of the media. It is happening. And don't forget, they're doing, last time with Black Lives Matter, there was an insurrection with Black Lives Matter on America. They told you that was a peaceful protest. It really wasn't happening. And then they blame everybody but themselves and Black Lives Matter, far-left radical group, Black Lives Matter, right? And so, but I want to play for you some sound bites. I want to play for you some sound bites of what's happening in LA, this riot, and that way it'll be clear. You can always podcast or watch it again. Because it's amazing how the Democrats just lie to you. No, you don't see what you really see. It's not happening. Or it's because Trump is bringing in the military or the National Guard. It's Trump's fault. It's their fault. If they didn't bring in the military, it would be happening. Or if they didn't go out and collect illegal aliens, it wouldn't be happening. Like, it's our fault the illegals are here. Well, poor children, the mothers and the children can go with the father. All they're doing is going back home. It's not like they're going to a strange land. They're already in a strange land, right? So all they have to do is go back to wherever country they came from, and be at home. Hake is telling me they'll try, Hake of the Hake Report, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. They'll try to compete with Trump. It's his birthday coming up. Flag Day 250 celebration. They're going to be celebrating the military. They're going to have a military parade. And we haven't seen that in a long time. And so Hake is saying, in his opinion, they're trying to compete. But they're trying it in the wrong way, Hake. But I just know it's a mess. What a mess! So I got some sound bites I want to play for you because a lot of people are going to know what's happening in LA, Jesse. I've been hearing about these riots. Thank God. And his son, Jesus, that Trump is bringing in help. National Guard, the military folks, and then Karen Bass supposed to be like controlling the city. Karen Bass can't even control her way out of a paper bag. How's she gonna control the city? She need a man over her to tell her what to do. If you're gonna let her be the mayor, she need to be guided by a man over her that knows what he's doing. Poor Karen Bass. Don't blame her. She was born black and female. What now? So I got some soundbite about this riot that is happening. The first soundbite is from Fox News. Pro-immigrant protesters are looting LA shops. Watch this from Fox News.
Another night of riots in LA. Looters have taken over blocks downtown. Everything from Apple stores to sushi joints ransacked. Because you need a new iPhone and a spicy tuna roll to fight ICE.
This is so ridiculous. This doesn't look like this is they're protesting for ICE or anything. This is they're doing just for the looting the stores and everything. I saw they break into the Apple store.
Crazy. Very crazy, very sad, very terrible. People are stupid. People are stupid.
Very bad. You know, I'm not a big guy. I'm not a big fish.
A crowd that claims they're fighting for immigrants' rights is looting stores owned by immigrants and spray painting death to America. What's their cause again?
Amazing, huh? Human beings don't love human beings. It don't matter what race you call yourself. These people pretend they're out there protesting, which is a riot, for the immigrants, they say. And yet they're robbing the immigrants, destroying their businesses. It's like your mother tell you, I love you, but get mad at you when you apologize for resenting her, and then she go and build an army against you. But she love you. There was a body found. This is while peaceful protest heard on sidewalk chunk. Are you going to see this guy with a hammer breaking up the sidewalk there, and they're taking those bricks, stones, and throwing them at the police and everybody. Let ye without sin catch the first stone, huh? What the? And some person delivered riot gear. So what appears to be riot gears. Who is funding that? Watch this.
Overnight, a body was found near a looted T-Mobile. And so-called peaceful protesters have been smashing up sidewalks with hammers and then throwing the chunks of cement at cops. Trump calls it an insurrection.
It is.
People with big, heavy hammers pounding the concrete and pounding curbs, pounding it, breaking up, and handing these big chunks of concrete to people. And they were taking that concrete, going up on bridges and dropping it into the roof of a car. They were throwing it at our police. They were throwing it at our soldiers that are there. I could tell you there were certain areas of Los Angeles that you could have called it an insurrection. It was terrible. But these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They get money.
And some of these bad hombres are showing up with riot gear. A black truck was spotted distributing face shields. Watch.
It just feels like something's going to happen, and you're waiting for it to happen.
Looks like a bionic shield is what that's called. I mean, that's not the kind of thing that you buy in bulk if you don't plan on doing something with it. And the fact that that's being handed out kind of like candy to everybody here gives you an indication that these folks probably plan to be here for a while.
Wonder who's paying for that. Probably USAID.
Amazing. Somebody, according to a report, sent a truckload of riot gear to these people. Who did that? These people that are out there burning and rioting, they have no idea what they're doing. Really, they don't. And they get a thrill from robbing you, breaking in. They're just there for the thrill. They're there for the thrill. They don't know they're being used right now. All angry people are asleep and dumb. That's why two angry people marry each other, because they're dumb, and then they fight, and then two devils fighting, and then they try to make love happen. What? Isn't that amazing? Somebody had delivered a bunch of riot gear to these people, and some people say, "Oh, George Soros is behind this." Well, how can we never catch George? How can, all these years I've been, and I'm not saying George Soros is not behind it at all, because that's all I ever hear. But why we never catch George paying for these things? The liberal media nor the conservative media prove we need to see George doing this. It sounds like it may not be just George. Somebody else is doing it. George got a lot of money, but he ain't got that much money. Somebody else is funding these things as well. And what's really amazing, there are so many amazing things about this, but what's really amazing is that these people are burning the American flag while flying with the Mexican flag. Think about that. And all this is happening in the United States of America. This is not happening overseas the way it used to happen. It is now made into our land. And I hear that the Democrats have told these people, y'all need to stop with the Mexican flag and start flying the American flag. You got to cover up a little bit more. Watch these people burning the American flag. And then another organizer called it a war. This is from Fox.
Liberals realized waving Mexican flags was a bad look, so they started passing out American flags, saying, leave these flags instead. It's better optics. And the crowd said thanks and took the American flags and burned them. One of the guys organizing these riots said this is war.
This weekend was marked with absolute and total violence, brutal repression, and attacks, coordinated attacks against our community. For us as indigenous people to these lands, to this continent, this is nothing new. The military going after us is nothing new. We don't advocate for violence, but when they use brutal violence against our people and kidnapping mothers and fathers from children is violent. When they do things like that, we have every right, every historic right to defend our communities by any ways that we can, and we're going to continue to do so.
Amazing. And it doesn't matter that we came into the country illegally. We're going to turn on you in your own country if you don't accept us. And we're going to burn down your country. We're going to fight. We're not going to fight at home against our oppressors. We're going to go illegally into your country, America, and we're going to fight you if you don't want us there. It's a war. And I dare you to get mad, America. They'll tell you that. They're going to fight. We're going to burn your flag. We're going to fly the Mexican flag, even though we left there because Mexico had nothing to offer. And you had better goods. And we illegally went into your country. And now we're going to fight you. We don't have the same courage to fight in Mexico, but we got the courage to fight in America, even though we're lawbreakers. Now take that. I have to tell you that Jesse Ward, I don't know anyone who can present a case as clearly along with sound bites, as Jesse Warren does. He just lays it out, and you have to not want to see it. You have to, I don't want to see it. This is from CNN, suggested Mexico should take California back. This is from Fox News. Watch this.
CNN says we should just raise the white flag and let Mexico have California back.
Remember that California was part of Mexico. All of the Southwest is Mexico. So the roots are really deep in that region. And what they're saying is, no, not in our community.
We won the Mexican-American War. Mexico signed a treaty. LA is not an Indian reservation. I'm sorry, it's a part of the United States. Notice how the rest of the media isn't even interviewing the rioters. It's almost like they don't ask questions because they know they're not going to like the answers. Here's why.
We don't agree with the term illegal. We're undocumented. We've been here for thousands of years before you guys showed up. Screw up everything. We're anti-capitalist. We think socialism does work, real socialism.
Is there a country we can look to kind of model the socialism idea?
The only model would be Soviet Union the first 4 years.
That right there says it all.
Amazing. When I heard this guy say that they want to take back America, California, I mean, it reminded me of the blacks over in Mommy Africa. They said that, oh, we want Africa back. We want South Africa back. And they fought and they accused, and then no one protected white people over there. And then whites finally gave up the city and moved into their farmland. And now the blacks are destroying them even out there, even though they're fighting back now. That may remind me of that. California don't belong to y'all. What the? California is not yours, Mexico. And stop.
Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Miss Monroe?
Hi, husband. Yes. Uncle just called and said something about a restaurant you referred him to in Savannah. Do you remember the name?
Sisters.
He wants it.
Sisters? Yeah.
Okay. Is it with an ER or an A at the end?
It's just regular
Is it
sisters.
sister?
Sisters.
Oh, okay. I'll let him know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Get the raid. Defense wants to limit or bar testimony about guns. The defense told the court that it's likely to object to questions about guns found during.
Because the factories that were there could not find anyone to take the jobs. The white, no. The working class white wages. The working class white people wouldn't do the jobs
for those wages.
No, I don't know. I mean, so
well, let me just say, I don't know that
labor.
I don't could pay much less. Yes, I agree with you. I mean, you're.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel, where we watch CNN hasn't done their job.
Congress had an opportunity to do the job last year. Who said walk away from the deal? That was Donald
That was
Trump.
an amnesty bill. Amnesty is not on the table. It's never going to be on the table under Donald Trump.
Comprehensive immigration reform.
You know, I hear this talking point a lot from Democrats that Donald Trump misled the American people and somehow said he was only going to deport violent criminals.
He said he was going to prioritize
At every single rally that I watched, he said, we are going to have the largest deportation operation in American history. And the reason he did that is because that position has majority support with the American people, and that position is what got him the majority of working class people. Because immigration is a topic that divides the working class from the elites. The elites are the consumers of low-wage labor, and when you guys say they're taking people from the community, what you mean is they're taking people from the workforce, people who undercut the wages of American workers, which is why the working class class flipped from the Democrats to the Republicans. I just want to make one more point. I want to make one more point. Let me make one more point.
43-54 today on immigration.
Let me make
He's
one more
underwater
point.
on immigration.
57% of Americans want every single illegal migrant deported.
Who is that according to?
57%.
Where does that say?
CNN itself had a poll that had it at 54%.
Hold on a second.
CBS had that
I'm not
2 days ago.
attacking you. I'm
Okay,
just simply
so
asking
CNN
you.
had it at 54%. CBS had it at
From
57%.
when?
Getting still, they pour into our tax system. They pour billions of dollars year in and year out into our tax system. And so to treat them or discount them as something other than valuable parts. And look, we need to do something about illegal immigration in this country. I wish we could go back to Marco Rubio and who was the gang of it?
It's kind of crazy. It's like, okay, what were these people doing, and why didn't you just leave? I don't know. It's just, it seemed like the prosecutors are pulling at any and everything to make RICO stick and to convince the jurors that you need to convict him under RICO.
Yeah, I think one of the things is kind of this relatability problem that people have with RICO, because when we think of RICO, we think, crime families and mafia and all the things that we've seen on TV with Scarface and Goodfellas. And so I think that a lot of people are like, that's not Sean. He was a successful businessman, right? Like, he had all of these businesses. Are you trying to tell me that all of that was created or existed at one point just so he could commit crimes? See, that's where I don't think that the jury's going to buy it. Even though legally, if you look at what he did, once you get the paper and the judge gives those instructions, they could get to RICO. I just think that there's a huge relatability problem because the way that we're trained in the media and what we understand with the Gambione family, it doesn't match up with Sean. Even though I think that the RICO has been met, I just don't know if jurors will say, oh, this whole enterprise, which is what the law says. The law says this whole enterprise existed just for you to do these underlying crimes. I don't know if that'll stick. I don't know if that'll stick.
And so again, when I spoke to you earlier, I said, okay, so between you and the judge, I'm really the juror here. And so I really appreciate you explaining that, because that's how I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. His enterprise, how...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to point out that under Article 6 of the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause, that by declaring your states sanctuary states, you declared your intent to violate federal law. With that, are you aware that illegal aliens with known ties to terrorist organizations are now residing in the United States? That's a yes or no. Quickly, yes or no. Governor Walz.
I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I would assume
you should
yes.
have. Governor Pritzker.
I know that's been alleged. I don't have firsthand knowledge myself.
You should have. Governor Hochul.
My Joint Terrorism Task Force has surveillance.
Ma'am, that's a yes or no. Either you know or you don't.
We are aware.
That's amazing. Considering that the Customs Border Patrol reported just in fiscal year 23, 736 encounters with illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations. And there's it's 2.2 million estimated gotaways. We have no idea how many known terrorists are in our country. Do you support the arrest and deportation of illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations? So yes or no? Governor Walz.
If due process is given, certainly.
Governor Pritzker.
Exactly. We need
Governor
due
Hochul.
process before we arrest people.
Yes or no?
Anyone involved in a crime, we
Ma'am,
cooperate.
yes or no?
We cooperate when
Ma'am, yes or no?
We cooperate
You
with any
cannot
crimes.
give a straight answer, and the answer is you're giving safe harbor to people with ties to terrorist organizations. Are you aware of that? Let me tell you, you're shielding members of known terrorist organizations such as MS-13, Trinidad Aragua, Brown Pride Azteca, Barrios Azteca, Serenos, which is otherwise known as Sur 13, and the 18th Street Gang. Those are designated terrorist organizations. Many of these are the people responsible for bringing fentanyl in that's killed, along with other drugs, killed over 100,000 people per year. We're no longer in a war on drugs. We're involved in a war with drugs. These are casualties. Are you aware that the Department of Homeland Security identified over 400 illegal aliens who were smuggled into the United States with the help of an affiliate of ISIS? Are you aware of that, Governor Walz?
Congressman, I don't have direct knowledge of that.
Well, I'll help you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter to the record article from NBC News. DHS identifies over 400 migrants brought in the United States by an IS-affiliated human smuggling network. Is that a problem?
Without objection to order.
Does that raise any concern for you?
None of us want terrorists in this country.
Then why are you shielding people here from being picked up by our ICE agents, referring to this as a Gestapo organization? You know, I'd never want to get up on another morning like I did on September 11th, 2001. There are people in this country who are here with the full intent to do us harm. They came across our borders illegally. 358 of them crossed the northern border into New York. Not all of them into New York, but some of them came through New York. There's arms smuggling across the Canadian border into New York. And you're shielding these people. Are you aware that if just 0.5% of the estimated 15 million, 14.7 million to be exact, that came into our country illegally during the Biden administration, if just 0.5% are tied to criminal organizations or terrorist organizations, that constitutes more than the combined active duty forces of the Army and Marines? Does that not strike you as something that should be of great concern to us?
Since you raised New York, I'd like to answer.
Are you aware?
We cooperate fully with all investigations, particularly terrorists. And you cannot say 9/11 and not invoke incredible emotion
Governor
from us.
Hochul, that they're terrorists if you don't allow people to be picked up who came here illegally to at least give an account for their presence?
We say
how do you know if they're not part of that 400 that we know came in through an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling operation? You don't know. You're not even looking into that.
You're pointing to an abject failure of the federal government.
Pointing out here is that your sanctuary policies now constitute a threat to our national security.
We cooperate in all criminal investigations.
You are engaged in operations against federal government attempts to enforce federal law that I think now constitutes a threat to our national security, and you're in violation of federal law.
That's 100% false.
And charges for obstruction should be brought against each one of you for doing this. I'll leave that up to the Department of Justice. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Crockett from Texas.
Mr. Chair.
Mindset. But today's black man has an illogical mindset because he thinks like a woman. He has not overcome the spirit of the woman and returned to the logical
there
mindset
is nothing
of the
more
father,
effeminate than a white man defending a white power structure against black people. There is nothing more effeminate than a black man defending a white power structure against black people.
Hey, why are you speaking? Hold on.
You are politically effeminate,
illogical in their mind.
You are politically
and
effeminate.
Women are illogical
you are
in their
politically
mindset, right?
effeminate.
Why are you
are
over me?
defending the white power structure against your own people while you claim to be a man of God. You are a disgrace to your race, sir. You are a disgrace to your race.
A sellout, but you can admit that the word sellout does exist and that it is used, right?
Yeah, it is used, just like the word racism. We all know that there's no such thing as racism. It's a word that made up to deceive the blind. And so when they use the word sellout, it's meant to divide and conquer. But if you're not in a fallen state, meaning that Satan is not your daddy, you can see the game that's being played. Like Dr. Umar just said, he just spoke as a blind man. He has no idea what he's talking about because there's no such thing as slavery syndrome or whatever he said. Our battle is a spiritual battle. It's either right or wrong, good or evil. And in the good old days, when boys were boys and men were men, men knew that, and they led their wives and children in the right way to go. And they did have a conduct of morality. They treated everyone they would like in the way that they would like to be treated, never mind the color. They taught their children how to work and be responsible and not blame and whine. And they didn't put it out there as though they couldn't make it. Dr. Umar Johnson just made up words.
Reverend Jesse, I don't think we should suggest that one person knows more than the other, in a sense of you saying you know it all and anyone else on the panel knows less. That's a little unfair.
Yeah, well, I may not know my flowers, but I know Dr. Umar Johnson is blind and that he's wrong. And he doesn't know God. So he's telling people words, fancy words, in order to deceive them. If you knew that our battle is a battle between good and evil, then you wouldn't make up words in order to deceive. You would tell the truth and hope that those who are blind may wake up and see the right way to go. I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama under the Jim Crow law, and back then black people...
There were no slaves on that plantation?
Well, yeah, they had, as a matter of fact, my parents ran the plantation, but they weren't slaves when I was growing up. And the point is, black people had a sense of morality then, and they loved what was right. They worked hard. They loved their country. They didn't blame because the men were leading the way.
Hold that thought, Reverend Jesse.
Now the black men saw like women.
Hold that thought, Reverend Jesse. Dr. Umar, go ahead. I don't want him to bring your name up and not allow you to respond.
It's okay. I had been on Reverend Jesse's show before, and they have been trying diligent.
And Senator Alex Padilla, I have questions for the Secretary.
Are Democrats on drugs?
Republicans are attacking Elmo.
Who's ready for another summer of love?
And I'm fighting today's Nazis.
What is a woman?
Fault.
It doesn't exist, man.
Racism is not about individual personality. Racism is about systemic injustice, systemic bias, systemic disproportionality, systemic discrimination. You do not opt out of racism.
Dumb.
All white people benefit from and participate in racism. So whether your ancestors owned black people or not is irrelevant. And the reason it is irrelevant, Sister Tammy, is because even if your ancestors didn't own black people, they worked at a job that was created because of the enslavement of black people. So there's no such thing as slavery did not impact my family. Just like in today's America, all white people benefit from the mass incarceration of black people. They benefit from the miseducation of black children. They benefit from the police brutality against black people. So I want to make sure we are clear.
What you're saying
racism is not about individual white people choosing to hate blacks. Racism is about the system of racism that controls opportunities and resources, Sister Tammy. Racism is not about the attitude. It's about the control of resources and opportunities.
Tammy, that is not true. This is why we have to we must get to know ourselves so that we can overcome that fallen state. Dr. Umar is evil for putting out a lie like that lies like that because people are going to believe in it.
Let's refrain from calling people names.
Okay. Well, he's not telling the truth.
We have to refrain, Sister Tammy, but at the same time, I think it's important that we understand the difference between the Negro and the coon. Sister Tammy, this is a very important distinction that has to be made. The Negro is innocent in his ignorance, Sister Tammy. As Brother Michael said earlier, some people make mistakes against the race unknowingly. If you make a mistake against the race unknowingly, that was a Negro. Negroes are innocent. They think white people are more intelligent. They think Jesus is black because they haven't been taught any better. But a coon knows better. But the coon voluntarily identifies with his oppressor because there is an agenda that he's looking to get filled. And the sad thing about Jesse Lee Peterson is he is too old to be cooning at this point in his life. And the fact that he claims to be a man of God makes him a total hypocrite.
You have a message.
Yeah. I just want to add to that. To hear Dr. Umar and the other man to speak this way.
That's Michael.
Is Michael, sorry. To hear Michael and Dr. Umar speak this way is abnormal for men. Normally men, when I was growing up, they had logical mindset. But today's black man has an illogical mindset because he thinks like a woman. He has not overcome the spirit of the woman and returned to the logical
there
mindset.
There is nothing more effeminate than a white man defending the white power structure against black people. There is nothing more effeminate than a black man defending the white power structure against black people.
Hey, why are you speaking? Hold on.
You are politically effeminate, Jesse Lee
logical
Peterson.
in their mind.
You are politically
and
effeminate.
Women are illogical
you are
in their
politically
mindset, right?
effeminate.
Why are you
defending the white power structure against your own people while you claim to be a man of God. You are a disgrace to your race, sir. You are a disgrace to your race.
And so normally the men with the logical mindset would bring the women and children to a logical mindset to help them overcome. But now the black men, not all but most, they think like their mothers and grandmothers. So they all think just like women, and that's why you can't get it right.
So indicting racism makes you a woman.
God, and that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children.
I'm not interested in a religious interpretation of racism.
Today's black woman is over the men. And
it is a mistake to use religion to interpret political phenomena.
That's why they have a
quick break, and we'll come right back on the Tammy McFay show on Fox.
Say that again.
Would you consider them sellouts?
Who?
Steve Harvey and there's another one I'm thinking of. But
I wouldn't consider Steve Harvey a sellout as strictly as I would consider a Shaquille O'Neal, a Charles Barkley, and a Kendrick Perkins sellout. And the reason I'm drawing a distinction is whenever Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kendrick Perkins open their mouth on issues involving black people, they always take the side of the white power structure. Whereas with Steve Harvey, I have seen some attempts by him to defend the integrity of black people. It's not often. I'm not even going to say it's acceptable, but there is levels to the coon kingdom. There's levels to the coon kingdom. So even though they are all sellouts, you have your grade A coons like Jesse Lee Peterson and Charles Barkley, and then you have your grade B coons, which will be like a Kendrick Perkins and a Shaq, and then you have your grade C coons, which would be like a Steve Harvey. So there's levels to the coon kingdom. Say again.
But you do put him in the coon kingdom.
I would put Steve Harvey in the coon kingdom, but he wouldn't be grade A like Jesse Lee Peterson and Charles Barkley. And the other thing I wanted to say quickly, Tammy, with Kim Kardashian, that was a perfect example of racism on the part of the white power structure who says, I would rather hear a white woman articulate the issues of incarcerated black females. Now you have hundreds of black women who fight for the liberation of incarcerated sisters every day. I can run off organizations all day long, but instead of meeting with black women who are in the trenches doing the work, we are instead going to let a privileged white woman articulate the issues for black people. And Sister Tammy, that was dangerous that black women supported Kim Kardashian being their mouthpiece, because what it does is it reinforces an old stereotype that black people are not intellectually sound enough to articulate their own issues and that they need a white person to do it. We should never celebrate a white person being selected to represent our issues. It should always be someone who looks like us.
That should be a part of the code.
That should be part of the code.
Reverend Jesse,
yes,
you're a part of the coon kingdom, he says.
That's right. You know, you just heard the voice of a beta male. That made no sense of what the doctor said and what Michael said. It's sad to see that most black people believe that they're all the same because of their color. They're not looking at their true self. They are a spirit created in the image of God. They don't know that. They're going by colors, and so they're all in the same pot, headed down to the road to destruction.
Reverend Jesse, I want to ask you.
Donald Trump was the best thing that ever happened to black Americans, because Donald Trump did not see colors. He saw colors, but he wasn't into the color thing. He was into what is right. And that's why he was able to help black people more so than any other president that we have had in the last, I don't know how many years, right? Obama was the worst, by the way, but Donald Trump was the best. I call him the great white hope because he made America great again. Black people went to work. They started buying homes and starting families and things like that because of Donald Trump. But these people like Dr. Umar and Michael, they're into their color. They're in a fallen state. They're weak males, and they cannot see. They can't see that Donald Trump was a man of God. He was a conservative, Christian, straight white man who loved what's right, and he wasn't into the color. That's why Kanye West and other black men and women who met with the president, they respected him because he was not into color. He gave black universities more money than anybody else, and all they did was misuse it. He did more to help the blacks than anyone else. It's time out for black people to stop begging. I'm sick of it. We can make our own way. Black people can make their own way if they get up and do it. That's why we have to overcome this cultural thing, because blacks who are into their culture, they think that all blacks are just like them, begging and blaming and whining and talking about 150 years ago and all that. Why not live now? The blacks didn't do that when I was growing up, especially black men. They need to stop begging for freebies. America is an amazing place, right? And whatever you want to do in this country, you can do it. Tammy, let me tell you this about the black farmers.
So do you think
farmers are getting a huge freebie from the USDA today, right? According to the Washington Post, $5 billion of Biden's stimulus package is going to benefit black farmers, but they're still going to be begging. It's not going to satisfy them, because it's not the lack of material things that blacks are having a problem with. It's the lack of moral character. Blacks are immoral, not all, but most.
Because a federal building was attacked, because a peaceful protest turned violent, because law enforcement was being attacked, but refused to condemn this situation where the exact same criteria is being met. And then at the end, just a little cherry on top to show you why The View is just the most low IQ show on television, Joy Behar explains to us that we should ignore that Gavin Newsom's a liar or un-American or responsible for these riots, because he's just so handsome and smooth talking. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'm gonna go think about this.
You know, I was reading today that CNN is reporting that ICE is now raiding agricultural communities in California, which will really damage the economy of California. And California subsidizes most of the red states in this country. And so those people that voted for Donald Trump are going to be affected by what ICE is doing. The other thing that I think
why don't people know that already? I mean, it's so obvious.
It's so obvious, but this is about economics as well. And I'll also say this, you know, this is, I think Trump is not doing this just for optics. I think that this is a test case so that he can dismantle some of our institutions. I think it's a power grab. I think he is trying to use the might of the military to suppress people's rights. I think that is very clear. When you use the military against your own citizens, that is a sign of fascism.
Her statement at the end shows the stark difference between regular normal Americans and Trump deranged Americans. To her, everything Donald Trump does is fascism. Everything is unconstitutional. Everything is an illegal power grab. And the rest of us are sitting here like, They're lighting cars on fire and throwing Molotov cocktails and shooting fireworks at law enforcement. They've trapped themselves in this box where they have to oppose every single thing Donald Trump does, no matter how morally or legally justified it is, or how popular it is with the American people. And it's getting to the point where normal people who aren't even Trump supporters are just looking at the Democrats as completely unreasonable. And at the beginning of her incoherent rant, she talks about how this is going to be an economic problem for California. Well, too bad. That's California's fault. They have a broken model that relies on federal immigration law not being followed. No one told them to allow mass illegal migration into their state, put everybody on state welfare, and undercut American wages and take American jobs. That was their fault for trying to appease the woke left, who fundamentally hate America, believe this is all Mexican land or native land, and because they have that idiotic worldview, they think that borders shouldn't be a thing. Now, this is where Alyssa drops a bomb on the panel and explains to them that all Donald Trump did was expose that the Democrat platform truly is all about pro-illegal immigration.
I was trying to kind of get into the head of Donald Trump on what he's doing around this, and I think most of this is driven by politics. What I think he's doing is he is baiting liberals and liberal governors like Gavin Newsom into taking the bait and adopting rhetoric that he thinks is going to be divisive and damaging ahead of the midterm. So what he wants to happen is he wants Newsom and Democrats to start chanting things like defund ICE, defund the police, because we know that hurt Kamala Harris. We know it hurt Tim Walz. They had to run away from those previous positions. And he's trying to create that sort of standoff right now. But here's the problem. Most Americans oppose rioting. That's just across the board. Like if there's violence.
You have a message.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom could do that. He should do that. But he explicitly didn't. He wanted violence to break out because he believed that level of pressure would stop the federal government from enforcing immigration laws, from stopping the deportation raids. He was trying to maintain California's state of lawlessness through violence. I mean, we already knew it because the Democrat Congress refused to stand for the family of Laken Riley. We know it because congressional Democrats on taxpayer money flew down to El Salvador to try to return an MS-13 gang member, and now we see that they're willing to let protesters violently attack law enforcement to try to stop them from deporting people. I mean, this is nonsense. Trump has forced the Democrats to show their hand and reveal what their true intentions are. They're not for securing the border. They're not for deporting people. They want to give mass amnesty to everyone who is here illegally. Why? Because then they'll get tens of millions of new voters who will give the Democrats a permanent majority. That was the plan all along. I mean, they've already brainwashed the entire black community to vote for them in unison forever while doing absolutely nothing to help them. So now they focus all their attention on giving free healthcare, free education, free housing, free benefits to illegal immigrants in hopes that now they'll vote for them in unison too. But here's Whoopi Goldberg, right on cue, making the argument that all Democrats love to make. Well, without these illegals, who's gonna pick our crops?
I just want to say, construction places, you're going to have a harder time finding people who are going to be able to come and do your house. Who are they going to get to pick all the fruit and the vegetables? Because Americans don't want to do it. We know that. The farmers are saying the Americans don't want to do this.
And the tariffs on top of that is going to make everything so expensive.
That too, but getting
it's
people,
a mess.
Food is going to be sitting and rotting because there's no one to grab it. Is my.
This is what Democrats don't understand because they lack a shred of self-awareness. They are doing today the exact same thing the Democrats pre-Civil War were doing when they were forced to get rid of their slaves. Their economy was completely reliant on cheap slave labor, and they were willing to violently fight the federal government to stop these changes from happening. They're fighting for California to be a haven for illegal immigration because they're scared their economy will crash without all their cheap labor. It's the same inhumane argument they made back then, and they're too self-righteous to even see it. Now, here's where Whoopi Goldberg completely loses her mind, trying to justify the riots in Los Angeles by saying there's no difference with what's happening now and when sports teams win championships and things get a little out of hand during celebrations. This is crazy.
Can you tell me which one is the ride in Los Angeles and which is the celebration for the Eagles.
Yeah. Philadelphia loves to burn itself down.
Also bad.
But was the National Guard sent in when
that's
Philadelphia
the
was
point. The
burning?
National Guard was not, well, that's the point.
Yeah. Where's the National Guard?
In part.
I have a question.
Yeah. So, well, the difference is there's an agenda.
Look at the gears in her brain stalling and creaking as she spits out, there's an agenda. No, Whoopi, the difference is, during these celebrations that get out of hand, it's a bunch of drunk people doing stupid drunk stuff, which is still bad. But in the situation in LA, it's violent property destruction. It's intentionally trying to obstruct federal law from being carried out. It's attacking federal agents with rocks and bottles and Molotovs and shooting fireworks at them. This is violence meant to compel political demands. That's terrorism. That's the difference, Whoopi. Now, Alyssa gets back to slamming Gavin Newsom, criticizing him for saying that these are actually just peaceful protests when we all see the pictures and the videos coming out of Los Angeles.
This is where I put a little bit of onus on Governor Newsom. Show that you have the police force to stop the unrest and that it is completely unnecessary to have the National Guard there, to have U.S. troops there, because you can't deny the imagery that you're seeing. There are cars being lit on fire. There are police officers being attacked. There are guardsmen being attacked.
Though?
So
to
be honest, I don't really care if you're hurting police officers, if you're damaging property. That you should get your day in court for.
But nothing was happening like that until they sent
But this is where it's on the governor to say, let's make this the biggest peaceful protest in history. But the second it gets violent, the governor needs to crack down and show he's capable of policing.
Gavin Newsom's political career is dying right in front of our eyes, and I totally support it. This man is a horrible politician. He has done nothing but try to tax the citizens of California into oblivion to pay for illegal migrants, make it the most unaffordable state to live in, institute destructive woke ideology that led to the burning down of Los Angeles from the fires. It is the epitome of mismanagement. Just look at the high-speed rail disaster. And it's a state that openly rejects the concept of law and order. This man would be extremely dangerous governing the whole country like California. He's just lucky that it's beautiful enough there that enough rich people want to live there and help stimulate the economy. But he has done nothing but try to do everything in his power to destroy it. And here's where Sunny has a uh-oh moment as she realizes that the Trump administration is serious about these deportations and it's coming to a sanctuary city near you.
Sort of, it's the largest state and it has a GDP that's larger than many countries. And so I think we have to look at what's happening from a bird's eye perspective and look at the why. Trump is militarizing that state as a test run to make sure that he can do it in places like New York, that he can do it in other sanctuary cities. And so there is a plan to this in my view. Mm-hmm. And I really think that there's no question that the LAPD that has 9,000 police officers could have handled this quite well.
Yeah, these other sanctuary mayors better wake up. They better realize they ought to start cooperating with ICE so they don't have to go into the communities and do raids like they're doing in Los Angeles. Because now they've been put on notice that if protesters show up getting violent with ICE trying to obstruct, he will call in the National Guard to make sure that the law is enforced. And this should be a wake-up call to the illegal immigrants in these sanctuary cities. Self-deport now. Trump is being generous, giving you a plane ticket home, giving you some cash. Maybe you can come back to the United States one day. But if you get caught, and you will get caught, it's going to happen in a fashion like this, and you will never be able to come back.
You had an interagency operation yesterday. Who all was involved in what happened in LA?
We had ICE, both divisions of ICE had ERO, Enforcement and Removal Operations. We had HSI. We had DEA, U.S. Marshals, ATF, FBI, and the IRS. And we had assistance of the U.S. Attorney here in Los Angeles was with me overseeing the operation.
What did the operation net in terms of arrests?
With the one criminal investigation, we arrested 40, and one person was arrested for interference. So a total of 41 arrests.
One for impeding?
Impeding, yes.
Mm-hmm. And that individual will likely be charged and probably bonded out and have to deal with the charges.
Yeah, but he will be charged with impeding. So that, again, you have to face that consequence. The U.S. Attorney here in Los Angeles has charged him.
Okay, and when you say that there were problems with the financials of this, is that under the purview of ICE, or is that part of the reason that the FBI and some of these other agencies, IRS, were involved?
Yeah, it's a multi-agency investigation. When we talk about customs fraud, tax evasion, money laundering, many different agencies are part of the task force, Homeland Security Task Force. So, and plus we have the other agencies also helping us in at-large criminal arrests. And the good thing about that, President Trump came up with this ideal of all the government searching and arresting for illegal aliens in this country who are public safety threats and national security threats. What's good about that, when we find a criminal threat, an illegal alien public safety threat or a national security case, if the DEA is with us and we're an illegal alien with a weapon, they can prosecute like 922G, illegal alien possession of a weapon, which is a felony. So they can prosecute any gun charges that we find. You know, and you got the ATF can prosecute guns, DEA can prosecute any drugs we find. So having these other law enforcement agencies with us gives us a chance to start a criminal prosecution separate from the overarching investigation. Then we have to get done dealing with that criminal prosecution. Then we can deport them to the United States.
So one of the first places that you served a warrant, a search warrant on, and you had done some work, the I-9 work, was at a factory.
There's a warehouse where they sell a lot of clothing.
Yeah, a warehouse.
And that's where we arrested over 41. And many of them were hiding, you know, trying not to be arrested by ICE. So it took a while to find them. They're hiding, and their after was hiding in, you know, boxes, but we were able to find them all and take custody of them. And what's important about that is we want to take statements from all these people and make sure, are we going to identify anybody that was in forced labor? Because the garment industry is famous for that. We got to make sure anybody in forced labor, anybody being abused or threatened, not being paid properly. You know, there's a lot of things we look at. Are they a victim of trafficking? Did we find any juveniles? So yesterday, fortunately, we found no kids that were forced into forced labor, but the investigation continues. The interviews are continuing.
All right, and then this particular company also had a storefront, and there was a warrant served there as well, correct?
Correct.
And there was a huge reaction in terms of protesters, and I say huge in terms of the vitriol that was being protested in the streets, particularly outside the retail outlet. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, it takes a while to serve a warrant, right? We got a lot of looking for documents, looking for evidence, talking to people that are being arrested. You know, there's a lot goes into a search warrant. It takes several hours. So while we're executing that search warrant and going through the process we go through, of course, the community here in LA, the non-government organizations, the open border advocates, they're very well coordinated in Los Angeles through social media. So as soon as the word got out that we had an enforcement action at a specific location, more and more protesters started gathering. And it got to the point where the crowd got big by a couple hundred people, and they were trying to impede our efforts, not only to take the arrested illegal aliens and place them in transportation to get them to the office, they also were trying to prevent our officers from leaving the facility. You know, surrounding facilities wouldn't let them leave. And we're seeing this more and more throughout the country. It's a well-organized, you know, they can protest all they want. They have that right. They got the First Amendment rights. But when you get to the point you're threatening, impeding, and preventing us from doing our job, it's a crime. And we're going to have to be forced to take action.
All right, so what are the instructions to the agents if someone is impeding their coming or going from a crime scene, if they're transporting detainees, if somebody's impeding that, if somebody's getting up and putting their hands on a federal officer, what is their instruction if that happens?
Well, yesterday, at the beginning of the operation, I spoke to him. I told him what I expected to happen, and the U.S. Attorney also spoke to the same information we give him, like zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. If someone impedes you, you arrest them. If someone puts hands on you, you arrest them. If someone tries to get between you and an alien you're arresting, you're going to prosecute. You're going to arrest them and prosecute them. So the message was clear, and that's the message we're trying to send now. You can protest, and you can hate. Shame on you. I mean, but you can hate what ICE does and who ICE is. You can protest and and throw out all the nasty words you want. But you can't cross that line. I've been saying this for months.
Slash, because we love the blacks. Slash Black Friday. I'm going to show you what it was before and what it's like now. Watch this. I love the blacks.
You do make disparaging remarks towards black people.
He black.
I want to make sure we agree on that first.
No, we disagree.
Hold on.
I want to ask. Well, and the things that you do, I just like I say, I want to hate you, but something won't let me.
Hey,
what?
What's wrong with the blacks? Maze, first you love me and then you hate me. That's a game made for a fool. What not? Maze been my friend forever. A lot of stuff going on, a spiritual battle. I think it's pretty interesting and dark. I want to use the word sad consciously because I'm really not sad about it. That most people have chosen to live in the world of thought, people, and emotions. Most people have chosen to live that way. They have chosen to live a life of argument, fighting. They have chosen to believe they have to fight. Fight, fight, fight. They have chosen to believe that because they've been taught that all their lives, somehow or another, you owe it to the other person or people to prove something, or to yourself. And so you fight. And when the fight is done, you cry. You have chosen to live in a world of nothing but darkness. And as a result of that, you're not even aware that there's another world.
We come to close this, Lord. I'll see you.